Emmerite stood in the greenhouse and looked at the dying crops. The plants hung from the metal frames like broken promises. Outside the thick glass walls, the sky of Kepler 442b turned a dull orange as the planet's larger sun began to set. The gravity here was stronger than on Earth. Emma felt it every day, pushing her down into the red soil, making her bones dense and her muscles hard. She was only 17 years old, but her body had adapted to this world in ways that soft Earth humans never could. She touched a crop leaf, and it crumbled between her fingers. The colony had food problems. Captain Robert Hayes had called another meeting 3 days ago. Emma's mother and father had sat with the other colonists in the assembly hall and listened to the truth. The supply ships from Earth were getting slower. The new agricultural methods were failing. The hydroponic systems kept breaking down. They had enough food for maybe 6 more months if they rationed carefully. After that, they would face starvation on this alien world they had chosen to call home. Emma's parents worked in the engineering division. Her mother repaired water systems and her father maintained the power generators. They worked long shifts and came home tired. Emma usually took care of herself. She was old enough and strong enough to do that. She explored the lands around the colony when she had time. She learned the patterns of the dangerous weather. She studied the alien plants that sometimes grew near the settlement perimeter. She read the old books about survival that had been sent from Earth. Knowledge was power, and Emma knew that in a place like this, knowledge could keep you alive. The warning sirens began to wail. Emma's head snapped up. The sound was loud and wrong. Sirens only meant one thing. A ship was coming. Not a supply ship from Earth. Something else. Something in space had been detected approaching the colony at high speed. Emma dropped the dead crop leaf and ran toward the main communications center. The greenhouse door hissed open and she stepped into the cooler air of the colony corridor. Other colonists were already moving toward the central hub, their faces showing fear and confusion. Children cried. Some adults spoke in quick, nervous voices. Emma pushed through the crowd with the strength that the heavy gravity had given her. Captain Robert Hayes stood in the command center with his second officer, Daniel Price. Through the transparent walls, Emma could see the landing platform. A shadow moved across the sky. The ship came down fast and loud. Its hull was dark metal with sharp edges and bright lights that hurt to look at. It was nothing like the human transport vessels. This ship was a weapon. Emma could see it in the way it moved, in the aggressive design. The ship landed with a heavy thud that everyone felt through the floor. Captain Hayes turned to his team. Lock down all non-essential areas. Get everyone inside the main dome. Do not approach the landing platform. His voice was steady, but Emma could see his hands gripping the edge of the control panel tightly. Then the ship's door opened. The creature that emerged was unlike anything Emma had ever seen. It stood nearly 3 meters tall. Its skin was dark blue and covered with marks that might have been scars or symbols. The being wore armor that looked like it was part of its own body. It had 4 arms. The upper 2 arms hung loose at its sides, but they were thick with muscle. The lower 2 arms were crossed against its chest. Its head was large and angular. Where its eyes should be, there were 2 bright points of light that moved and focused on the colony dome. The creature took 1 step forward and the ground shook. Emma felt her heart beating faster. She had read about contact protocols in the old files. She had studied the videos of first contact teams from the history databases. But seeing this being in person, watching it move with such power and confidence, was different from learning about it in a screen. Captain Hayes sealed the main airlock entrance. He moved to the communications console. This is Captain Robert Hayes of the Kepler Station Colony. We receive you peacefully. What is your purpose here? For several seconds, there was no response. The creature stood completely still, looking at the dome, looking at the humans inside. Emma felt like it was looking directly at her, even though it was impossible from that distance. When the creature spoke, its voice came through the emergency broadcast system. The words were in English, but the voice was deep and rough like metal grinding against stone. I am Vexter of the Vergax Empire. This world is now under Vergax control. You will surrender your resources and your labor. Resistance will result in your elimination. Captain Hayes took a breath. We are a peaceful colony. We can discuss trade and peaceful coexistence. Vexter made a sound. It took Emma a moment to understand it was laughter. There is nothing to discuss with a lesser species. Humans are weak. You are scattered across your single world and your few colonies. You have no weapons that matter. The Vergax have conquered 47 species. You will be 48. Vexter moved toward the dome entrance. I will take what I need. If you cooperate, some of you may survive. Captain Hayes looked at his officers. His face was pale. He opened his mouth but had no words. Around the dome, colonists were silent. Emma could hear children crying softly. She felt anger rising in her chest. This being, this alien, had come to their home and decided their fate without even talking to them. It had looked at humanity and seen weakness. It had decided they were conquered before any fight even began. Emma pushed through the crowd. Wait, she said. Her voice was loud and clear. Everyone turned to look at her. Captain Hayes stared at her like she had gone crazy. Vexter's bright eyes focused on her. I am speaking to you, Emma said to the creature outside the dome. Emma Wright, colonist of Kepler Station. Before you take anything or decide anything, you should know something about humans. We are not always what we seem. Vexter took another step closer to the dome. You are a child. Your opinion does not concern me. Emma stepped toward the transparent wall. She could see the alien warrior's face more clearly now. It was terrible and powerful and terrifying, but it was also watching her, listening. In my culture, children survive places that adults cannot. We grow strong from hardship. We learn to see problems that power cannot solve. Emma's hands were shaking, but her voice stayed steady. If you are truly confident in your strength, then you should not fear one human girl. The alien made that grinding laugh sound again. What do you propose, child? Emma took a breath. She did not know what she was doing. She only knew that surrender meant death, probably slow and painful for everyone she loved. A challenge, Emma said. You and me. A series of tests. The winner decides the colony's future. If you win, we are yours. Everything we have, everything we are. But if we win, you leave and tell your empire that humans are worth considering as something more than conquest. The alien warrior was quiet for a long moment. Emma thought her gamble had failed. But then Vexter laughed again, and this time it was a sound of genuine amusement. I will accept your challenge, human girl. This will be entertaining before I claim victory. Emma did not smile. Inside her chest, her heart was pounding like it wanted to escape her body. She had just committed herself and her entire colony to a fight against an alien warrior who had conquered 47 species. But surrender was not an option. And sometimes the only way to survive was to stand and fight. The sun rose over Kepler 442b and cast long shadows across the landing platform. Emma had not slept. She had spent the night preparing. She wore her work clothes and heavy boots. She had filled a pack with water containers and medical supplies. She had studied the maps of the Crescent Canyon system on the colony's computers. She had run the terrain data through her mind over and over, memorizing every difficult section. Thought her mother had wanted to talk her out of this. Her father had said it was suicide. Emma had not argued with them. She knew they were right. But she also knew that the colony would die slowly if Vexter took control. At least this way, there was a chance. Vexter waited at the canyon entrance. The alien warrior looked even larger in daylight. Its armor was scratched and marked. It had seen many battles. The bright eyes examined Emma as she approached. "You have prepared supplies," Vexter said. It was not a question. "Humans are not very strong compared to you," Emma said. "But we are smart. We use tools. We plan ahead." "Tools will not matter in a canyon," Vexter replied. "The test is simple. Reach the canyon's end before nightfall. First one there wins the challenge." The alien warrior pointed one of its upper arms toward the canyon opening. "There are dangers inside. Toxic gas pockets, unstable rock formations, temperature extremes. The canyon does not care about plans." Emma nodded. She had known this was the test. Vexter moved first. The alien took long strides into the canyon. Its forearms made it stable and fast. It moved with no hesitation, trusting in its strength to overcome any obstacle. Emma followed at a careful pace. The canyon was exactly as the data had described it. The walls were red and orange rock, carved by ancient water or wind erosion. The ground was uneven. Small rocks scattered everywhere made walking dangerous. Emma could feel the weight of gravity pulling her down harder here, away from the dome's artificial systems. She did not try to keep pace with Vexter. The alien warrior was already far ahead, moving through a section of loose rock like it was nothing. Emma knew that speed was not her advantage here. The first toxic gas pocket appeared 2 hours into the canyon. Emma smelled it first. A rotten, chemical smell that made her nose burn. She wrapped cloth around her mouth and nose, then moved to the left side of the canyon wall where the air was fresher. She moved slowly, testing each step. The gas was heavier than air and settled in the low spots. By staying on higher ground, she could avoid the worst of it. She found Vexter sitting in the canyon, holding one of its lower arms. The alien's armor was smudged with toxic residue. "The gas is stronger than expected," Vexter said. Its voice was rough with pain. "But it will not stop me." Emma did not waste energy on words. She kept moving forward. Her cloth mask helped her breathe. She climbed higher when the gas grew thicker. She moved slower than Vexter, but she moved smarter. The day grew hotter. The sun of Kepler 442b was larger than Earth's sun, and it burned hard. Emma drank water carefully from her pack. She knew dehydration would kill her faster than any other danger in the canyon. Vexter had no water. The alien warrior's armor had no supplies. Emma had assumed the warrior was too confident to prepare for difficulty. She was right up by midday. Vexter was clearly struggling. The toxic gas had damaged its respiratory system. The heat was affecting its skin. The alien warrior had relied on physical superiority, and it was working for pure speed. But pure speed did not account for the environment. Emma found the narrow passage that the maps had shown her. The canyon wall had a natural split where the rock was harder and more stable. It was too narrow for Vexter's large frame. Emma slipped through easily. She moved through the passage and emerged on the other side, saving at least 3 hours of travel around the longer route. When she reached the canyon's end, the sun was still high in the sky. Emma stood at the exit and looked back toward the canyon interior. She could see Vexter approaching slowly now. The alien warrior was moving in a strange way, favoring its left side where the toxic gas had burned the armor. The alien's movements were heavy and pained. Vexter reached the canyon exit as the sun began to lower toward the horizon. The alien warrior had made it with maybe an hour of daylight to spare. The two of them stood facing each other. Emma was sweating and tired. Her legs hurt from the constant climbing and walking. The heavy gravity had pushed her down every step of the way. But she had made it. Vexter was breathing hard. Its armor was damaged. Its movements were stiff. "You cheated," the alien warrior said. "You used a passage too small for my body." "I used the environment," Emma corrected. "I studied the canyon before the challenge. I knew the dangers. I prepared for them. That is not cheating. That is intelligence." Vexter made the grinding laugh sound again. "One test. You have won one test. Do not mistake this for victory. I have defeated warriors who were faster than you. I have conquered species that were stronger. One test means nothing. The next challenge will be different." Emma said nothing. She was too tired to talk. But inside her mind, she was already thinking about what the next test would be. She was already planning. Vexter turned away and walked toward the colony. "Tomorrow, we will have the second challenge at the colony. You will use whatever tools and knowledge you have. If you are clever, perhaps you will survive longer." Emma followed the alien warrior back toward the dome. She could see the colonists watching from inside. They had been watching the whole time, probably, waiting to see if their best hope would come back alive. That night, Emma slept deeply despite her pain. She had proven one thing to Vexter. She had proven that humans could be dangerous even to powerful beings. Not because of strength or weapons, but because humans could think. Humans could adapt. Humans could see solutions that others missed out in the colony dome. Captain Hayes was already planning the next day. He was gathering the best engineers and problem solvers. Because tomorrow, Emma would face a different kind of challenge. Tomorrow, she would have to prove that human intelligence could match Vexter's knowledge and experience. Emma did not know if she could win, but she knew she would try. And in a universe full of powerful beings, sometimes that was enough. The power station was the heart of the colony. It kept the dome warm. It powered the water systems. It ran the life support equipment to let humans breathe the recycled air. Without power, everyone in the colony would die within days. Emma's father had been one of the first to examine the problem that morning. The main generators had stopped working in the middle of the night. The backup systems had partially kicked in, but the power output was dropping. Within hours, they would not have enough energy to keep everyone alive. Captain Hayes had made the decision immediately. The second test for Emma and Vexter would be to fix the generators. Now Emma stood in the power station with her father, Daniel Price, and Vexter. The alien warrior looked at the equipment with clear confusion. It was a strange sight. The massive alien warrior moved around the compact human machinery like a giant in a toy factory. "This is your technology?" Vexter asked. "It is primitive." Emma's father bristled at the comment, but Emma touched his arm gently. "It works where we live. That is what matters." Emma examined the generators more carefully. She had grown up watching her father work on these machines. She understood the basic systems. The generators converted chemical energy into electrical power. The backup system was supposed to activate automatically when the main system failed, but it had only partially responded. She saw the problem almost immediately. There was a secondary power line that ran from the main generator to the backup system. The line had been disconnected. Not broken. Disconnected intentionally. Emma looked at Vexter. The alien's bright eyes were watching her intently. "Your ship," Emma said. "When it landed, the vibrations probably shook the equipment. But this connection was already loose. Look at the corrosion. It has been wearing away for months." She showed Vexter the corroded metal where the connection had been. The alien warrior studied it. Then Vexter made a sound that might have been understanding. "So the landing accelerated an existing failure," Vexter said. It was not a question. "Yes," Emma agreed. "But there is another problem. The backup system is trying to run without the secondary feed. It cannot provide enough power alone. If we just reconnect the line, it will overload the backup system and destroy both generators. Vexter turned to examine the entire power station. Then there is no solution. The colony will fail regardless. Emma's father was about to say something, but Emma was already thinking. She walked around the main generator, studying the design. She ran her hands along the metal pipes and electrical conduits. She was looking for something. An alternative path. A different way. There is a solution, Emma said slowly. But it requires two things working together. She pointed to one of the smaller power cells that was used for emergency lighting. These emergency cells can hold a charge. If we reroute the secondary power through 3 of these cells as a buffer, they can absorb the initial surge from the backup generator. That will prevent the overload. Vexter looked at the cells and then at Emma. That could work, but it will require the cells to discharge completely. Your emergency lighting system will fail. People in the dark can survive for a while, Emma said. People with no air cannot survive at all. She looked at her father. We need to work on the connections. The corrosion has to be cleaned. The secondary line needs to be checked for damage. And we need to install the cells as buffers. Emma's father nodded. He understood what she was thinking. It was not a perfect solution, but it would work. The 3 of them worked for the next 6 hours. Emma's father and Daniel handled most of the physical disconnections. Emma made the calculations and planned the exact configuration of the cells. Vexter watched and learned. At one point, the alien warrior asked, "Why are you showing me this?" You could let the colony fail, and I would have to leave. Emma did not stop working, because the colony surviving helps both of us. I need to win this challenge to save the colony. But more than that, humans believe that intelligence should be shared. If we keep knowledge secret, it dies with us. If we share it, it grows. Vexter made that grinding sound again, but this time it sounded different. Not like laughter. Something else. When they reconnected the secondary line, the meters began to show power transfer. The 3 emergency cells began charging. Emma adjusted the flow rate carefully. Too fast, and they would overload. Too slow, and the backup generator would not get enough support. The power station came back to full operational status. The lights in the emergency circuits flickered briefly, then steadied. The main generators hummed. The colony dome began to warm. The water recyclers began to run. The life support system engaged fully. Emma stepped back from the equipment. Her hands were shaking from the work and the concentration. She had done it. They had done it. Vexter examined the completed work. The alien warrior used one of its lower hands to touch the power cells, feeling the vibration of the electrical flow. This is well done, Vexter said. I have knowledge of 47 conquered species. Most of them are stronger than humans. Many are faster. But I have never seen a species that could solve a problem this way. With creativity, with improvisation, with cooperation. Emma said nothing. She was watching Captain Hayes through the window above the power station. The colony leader was smiling. People were moving around the dome with relief on their faces. They had power. They would survive. Vexter turned to face Emma. You have now won 2 tests. The final test will be combat. You and me. Direct battle. No tools, no planning. Only strength and will. Emma met the alien warrior's bright eyes. When? She asked. Tomorrow. At the colony perimeter. Every colonist may watch. They should see what happens when a human faces a true warrior. That night, Emma did not prepare. She knew that no amount of planning could prepare her for fighting Vexter in direct combat. The alien warrior was stronger, faster, and more experienced in battle than any human could be. But Emma had learned something from the first two tests. Strength was not the only thing that mattered. Humans had other advantages. They had will. They had adaptability. They had the ability to see weakness and exploit it. Tomorrow, she would have to show Vexter what those advantages meant in a real fight. The morning air was cold. Emma stood in the combat arena, a large flat area outside the colony dome that they had cleared of rocks and debris. Every colonist who could stand was watching from the dome windows. Emma's parents stood at the front, their faces white with fear. Vexter emerged from the colony transport. The alien warrior's armor had been cleaned and repaired. Vexter moved with confidence and power. The bright eyes locked onto Emma. The alien warrior raised one of its upper arms and made a sharp, cutting motion. "Begin," a voice said over the speakers. Captain Hayes was announcing the match. Emma did not wait for Vexter to attack. That would be a mistake. If she let the alien warrior dictate the fight, she would die. She moved forward and struck at Vexter's lower left arm, the one that seemed slightly less protected than the others. Her fist connected with armor. Pain shot through her hand. It was like hitting a metal wall. Vexter did not even flinch. The alien warrior's lower arm moved fast, trying to grab Emma. She pulled back and dodged. Vexter's movement was powerful but not exactly quick. The alien was strong enough that speed did not matter usually. For most of Vexter's opponents, strength was enough. But Emma was different. She had spent all night studying the videos of Vexter fighting. The colony had recordings of the alien warrior's battles from information data that had been transmitted with other technical files. Emma had watched Vexter fight 5 different species. She had studied the aliens' patterns. Vexter favored attacks with the upper arms and used the lower arms for balance and grabbing. The alien warrior moved in straight lines. Vexter was very efficient, but not flexible. Vexter did not dodge much. The alien warrior relied on armor and strength to take hits and keep moving. Emma moved in a circle. She threw another punch, this time at Vexter's shoulder joint where the armor was thinner. She connected and felt pain again, but also felt the impact push Vexter backward slightly. The alien warrior was not used to an opponent that moved this fast. Vexter responded by trying to grab Emma with all 4 arms at once. Emma rolled forward and under the alien's arms. She came up behind Vexter and struck the alien's lower back where the armor looked older and more worn. Vexter spun around. The movement was fast but slow enough that Emma could see it coming. She ducked under one of the upper arms that tried to swipe at her head. She struck upward into Vexter's armpit. The hit landed hard, and the alien made a sound of pain. For the next 20 minutes, the fight continued. Emma fought with everything she had learned about combat from the military manuals she had studied. She fought with every ounce of strength that the heavy gravity of Kepler 442b had given her. She fought with desperation because she knew that if she stopped, everyone she loved would die. Vexter was faster and stronger. Each time the alien landed a real blow, Emma felt something in her body break. Her left arm was either badly bruised or fractured. Blood ran from a cut on her forehead. Her ribs sent spikes of pain through her chest every time she breathed deep. But Emma kept fighting. She found a weakness in Vexter's stance. When the alien warrior launched one of its powerful upper arm attacks, the lower left side of the body was exposed for just a fraction of a second. Emma studied this weakness and exploited it. She struck there again and again. She could feel the armor warming from repeated impacts. She could feel something underneath starting to fail. Vexter became angry. The alien warrior roared and came at Emma with everything. The upper arms moved like weapons. The lower arms grabbed and pulled. Vexter was trying to catch Emma in a hold that would end the fight with one crushing movement. Emma was tired. Her body wanted to stop. but she kept moving. She had learned that humans did not have the same limits as most species. Humans could push past pain. Humans could keep going when logic said they should quit. She ducked under Vexther's grab and came up behind the alien warrior again. This time, she drove her shoulder directly into Vexther's damaged lower back with everything she had left. The alien warrior fell forward. Vexther hit the ground hard. The armor cracked. The bright eyes looked up at Emma. The alien warrior was breathing heavily. One of the lower arms was not moving correctly. Emma stood over Vexther. She was barely breathing. Blood covered one side of her face. Her left arm hung useless, but she was still standing. "I yield," Vexther said. The words came hard, like they cost something to say. Emma did not speak. She could not. She dropped to one knee because her legs would not support her anymore. Medical teams rushed out from the colony. They brought stretchers. They brought supplies. They started treating Emma's injuries immediately. As they worked, Emma watched Vexther being helped to standing by colony engineers. The alien warrior stood and looked at Emma. Vexther made the grinding sound, but Emma realized now that it was laughter. Not mocking laughter. Something else. Something that sounded like respect. Later, in the medical bay, Emma drifted in and out of consciousness. Doctors worked on her injuries. Her left arm was indeed fractured. She had broken ribs. She had a concussion. But she would survive. Captain Hayes came to see her once she had stabilized. "You won, Emma," the captain said. "All 3 challenges. Vexther has agreed to the terms." Emma tried to smile, but it hurt. "What will Vexther do?" she asked. The alien warrior said something very interesting. Vexther said that humans are not a conquered species. Vexther said humans are a species that cannot be conquered because humans do not think like conquered beings. Vexther is going to report to the Vergax Empire that we are something new. Something that must be dealt with as equals, not subjects. Emma closed her eyes. She had done what she set out to do. She had saved the colony not through superior strength, but through something deeper. Through will. Through intelligence. Through the refusal to accept that any problem was impossible to solve. She had shown Vexther. And through Vexther the Vergax Empire what human strength really meant. Emma spent 5 days in the medical bay. The doctors said she had been lucky. Another few centimeters to the left with that final strike, and she would have hit something vital. Vexther had not used lethal force despite having the ability to do so. The alien warrior had fought as though it was testing Emma, not trying to kill her. On the 6th day, Emma was allowed to walk again. Her arm was still in a cast. Moving hurt, but she walked. She found Vexther in the colony greenhouse, looking at the dying crops. The alien warrior had been spending time there the past few days. Emma's parents had said the warrior was learning about human agriculture. They were teaching Vexther how humans tried to survive on alien worlds. "The plants are still failing," Vexther said without turning around. The alien warrior's voice was different now. Not less powerful, but different. Less aggressive. "They need better soil additives," Emma said. She moved carefully to stand beside the alien warrior. "And more sunlight. The colony dome blocks some wavelengths that these plants evolved to need." Vexther looked at Emma. The bright eyes moved across her injuries. "You will recover completely?" "The doctors say yes," Emma replied. "It will take time. You fought, well, better than many true warriors I have faced." Vexther looked back at the plants. "I have been thinking about your question. The one you asked after the 2nd challenge. Why you would share knowledge rather than use secrecy as a weapon." Emma waited. She had wondered if Vexther would return to that conversation. In the Vergax Empire, knowledge is controlled. Vexter as a warrior is taught specific combat techniques. Other warriors are taught other things. We do not share freely because we believe that knowing less keeps individuals dependent on the collective. It maintains order. That sounds lonely, Emma said. It is, Vexter agreed. But it is efficient. Emma looked at the plants. Some were completely dead. Others were struggling to survive, despite the poor conditions. But a few were actually growing, adapting to the changed conditions. Humans share knowledge because we need each other to survive, Emma said. We are not very strong individually. We are not as fast or powerful as many alien species. But together, with shared knowledge, we can accomplish things that seem impossible. That is why I showed you how to fix the generators. Not because I trusted you completely, but because the colony's survival was more important than my advantage. Vexter made the grinding sound. And now the colony survives. And I report to the Vergax Empire that humans are something different. Something that cannot be controlled like other species. We can negotiate with you. We can trade with you. We can even ally with you. But we cannot conquer you because you do not think in ways that conquered species think. Emma felt something warm in her chest. It was not quite joy, but it was close. Over the next weeks, Emma recovered. She attended school again with the other colony children. She helped in the greenhouse. She even talked with Vexter sometimes about the differences between human and Vergax cultures. Vexter did not stay long. The alien warrior's ship was repaired and ready. But before leaving, Vexter did something unusual. The alien warrior asked Emma to walk with it to the landing platform. I am returning to Vergax Prime, the warrior said. I will speak to the Council of the Empire. I will tell them about the human girl who beat a warrior in single combat. I will tell them about the colony that could survive and create solutions to problems I had not even considered. And I will tell them that humanity is a species the Vergax must treat with respect. Will they believe you? Emma asked. No, Vexter said. They will not. Most of them. But some will. And I will show them the records of the power station repair. I will show them the military strategy that I extracted from analyzing your fighting techniques. I will show them that humans have value beyond conquest. The alien warrior's ship powered up. The engines created a sound like distant thunder. Vexter turned to face Emma one last time. You gave me something when you fought me and won. You gave me the understanding that strength is not only about power. You taught me what humans know instinctively. That will and intelligence and refusal to give up matter more than muscle and armor. I hope it helps, Emma said. It will, Vexter replied. And Emerite, I want you to know. If the Vergax Empire ever threatens this colony again, I will stand against them. Not because of a debt, but because we are allies now. Because I respect you. The alien warrior boarded the ship. The door sealed. The vessel lifted into the orange sky of Kepler 442b and accelerated upward. Within minutes, it was gone, leaving only a trail of heat distortion in the atmosphere. Emma stood alone on the landing platform. She thought about what had just happened. An alien warrior from an empire that had conquered 47 species had decided to see humans differently because one girl had refused to surrender. She thought about victory, true victory, not destruction of the enemy, not conquest, but the creation of something new, an understanding between two species that were different but could respect each other. The colony was safer now. Ships began arriving from other settlements. Vergax trade vessels made contact. It took months, but eventually the Empire recognized that humans were not a species to be conquered. They were a species to negotiate with, to trade with, and to ally with. Emma finished her final year of education. She became a teacher, instructing other colonists in the things she had learned. How to survive. How to think. how to find solutions when the obvious path was blocked. One day, a message came from Vergax Prime. Vexter had been promoted. The alien warrior was now a diplomat, working to establish peaceful relations with multiple species. The message included a formal greeting and an offer. If Emma ever wanted to travel to Vergax space, she would be treated as an honored guest. Emma saved the message. She did not know if she would ever go, but she kept it. Years later, when people asked Emma what she had learned from her fight with Vexter, she always said the same thing. I learned that winning is not the same as being strong. Winning is about refusing to stop trying. It is about using every advantage you have, even if those advantages are small. It is about sharing knowledge and working together when you can. And it is about understanding that your enemy is human enough to be changed, given the right reasons and the right moment. The colony of Kepler Station became known throughout human space as the place where humans had won respect from the Vergax Empire, not through weapons, but through will and intelligence. It became a symbol that humanity could stand with other species as equals. And it all started with one 17-year-old girl who stood up to an alien warrior and said, "Before you decide our fate, you should know something about humans." Sometimes that is all it takes. A moment of courage, a willingness to fight for what matters, and the understanding that real strength comes not from power, but from the will to survive and adapt and never give up, no matter how impossible things seem.